know, I'm Melissa Moore, and my father murdered 8 women. I'm telling my story to encourage family members of other killers to come out of the shadows, to reach out to the families of the victims and express their sorrow for the crimes. This is the intimate horror of having a monster in my family. Dale Hausner grew up on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, the youngest of 5 brothers. Despite his family's financial hardships, Dale had big dreams of being a boxing promoter.
Welcome to the best of boxing, everybody. I'm your host, Dale Hausner.
But after a life of dramatic ups and downs, the streets of Phoenix became his hunting ground.
As the sun goes down, concern rises, and cops hit the streets, hoping to stop the serial shooter before he takes aim and fires again.
In a 15-month shooting spree, Dale Hausner terrorized the city. Among those stunned by Dale's arrest was the brother who thought he knew him best.
I was second to the youngest, so I did look out for him. Growing up, I never would have suspected there was that much wrong. I mean, he had his moments where he was hard to be around. I helped him the best I could. I never really sensed any major danger.
Phoenix police have arrested the man they believe is the city's serial shooter, responsible for multiple deaths.
When I first heard the news, the first thing me and my mom and everybody else thought is, it can't be true.
You never pulled the trigger.
I'd like to see him prove it. I didn't have to prove it because I didn't do anything wrong.
Are you a serial shooter?
Absolutely not.
Dale Hausner killed my father. This guy took a lot from me, and he's still taking from me to this day.
I would like to meet the victims' families, to reach out and talk to them and tell them, I'm sorry for your loss. You were the victim of an evil coward that, for his own sickness and twistedness, lashed out at innocent people.
The serial shootings occurred over large sections of the Phoenix area. This neighborhood is near the site of one of them. I'm on my way to meet Randy Hausner, the brother of Dale Hausner, the serial shooter. And I'm looking forward to hearing his story and then also taking him to meet Clarissa Rowley, a survivor, and also Justin Mendez. His father is believed to be the first victim in Dale Hausner's shooting spree. In the 10 years since the shootings terrified the city, the Hausner family has remained in the shadows. Hey, Randy. I'm Melissa.
Nice to meet you, Melissa.
Nice to meet you. So here, let's have a seat. There's just so many things I want to ask you, and I know we have some things in common.
Definitely.
This is the first time a Hausner family member has talked on camera.
It's kind of hard to share your weakness when you're throwing up because you read your own brother's diary, or you're waking up screaming at night from a nightmare because of what happened. Those things are harder to share. Those things are harder to talk about.
I think it's difficult probably being a brother of a serial killer. You grew up alongside with Dale. So when you look back, what do you think about that?
The realization first hit me that he was guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. The first thing that hit me was evil among us. I mean, that grew up in our family side by side with us. Growing up, we were very poor, but didn't quite know it. Dale, as a young child, was just kind of a silly, slap-happy kid. We got along relatively good, although he did like his alone time. I always joke, genetically, in one way, we inherited the weak, puny gene, but as we got older, we learned to exercise more, at least get stronger for what we had.
For the Hausner brothers, a favorite exercise is boxing. But the sport also offers a glimpse into Dale's dark side.
We had a punching bag. Dale would talk to the punching bag and he would say, I don't want any problems, and he'd throw a punch at it. And then he'd stop and he'd say, really, I don't want any problems. And he'd practice this quick, sharp punch movement out of the blue. He came home one day and he was like really fired up. And I said, well, what's going on? He says, well, this kid's been picking on me every day. So I finally took care of it. I did what I did to the punching bag. said, well, I'm proud of you for defending yourself. And he looked at me, he said, well, but there's something more. When my hand hit his face and I saw the blood, it felt good.
It's a glimpse into Dale's secret life, a life that Randy would only learn about much later when he discovers Dale's private journal.
Here's part where he says, I started stealing and starting fires when I was 9. My one passion was destroying things. I loved it. Breaking windows, slashing tires, spraying bleach on people's clothes while they hung to dry.
Is this the brother you knew?
No. It makes you wonder, did he just choose evil? Is something wrong with his brain? A lot of things go through your mind.
As kids, the only odd thing I can remember, if we were spending a night in the same room, I remember waking up one time and he was staring at another friend, just staring at him. It was like, that's kind of weird, Dale.
Dale's personality was outgoing. I mean, he did know how to charm people. He really had no problem getting dates and was quite socially savvy.
Dale marries when he's 18. He adopts his wife's son, and soon they have a son of their own.
Dale really did like being a dad. He accepted his adopted kid as much as his own flesh and blood kid.
But the marriage fails, and by age 21, Dale has a new wife when tragedy strikes on a family trip.
His wife at the time was driving and hit a guardrail. They plunged into the river, and the car sank. The kids in the back seat were strapped in the car seat. His wife swam to the side, and he kept going under to try to save him. All he would get is handfuls of broken glass. It was freezing. He was shaking. He said it was so bad that he was losing feeling, and he said he had a choice of going back down one more time and not coming up. They're swimming to the side, and he chose to swim to the side. And sometimes I wonder if that was the right decision. He used to tell me when my kids died, I died. He seemed to have a tortured soul about him. I'm not making excuses in any way, shape, or form for his behavior, but that being said, that might have been a trigger point.
Dale's second marriage ends unhappily, but in 2003, at age 30, Dale fathers a daughter with a new girlfriend.
He really did love his daughter, and he was taken back by the fact that she was ill because his daughter had a disease that was really wearing on her, and they were concerned whether she would make it or not. He really did the best he could and was very concerned. I guess he was stressed because he started calling in sick a lot. Poor attendance started creeping in.
But it isn't the care of his daughter that causes Dale to miss work. In May of 2005, Dale starts a new nocturnal activity. He joyrides through the quiet streets of Phoenix with a gun.
Nobody reported shot being fired in the area. When he was found in the street by a passerby in a car, they thought he had been the victim of a motor vehicle accident. And again, it wasn't until paramedics arrived here, found the gunshot wound in the middle of his back.
Tony Mendez was shot in the back while he's riding his bicycle.
He was actually going to take candles to a family that had no electricity. He used to ride this bike everywhere. That's when he was taken.
No leads, no suspects, no known reason. This, a quiet residential neighborhood where a guy on a bicycle was shot and killed, was the start of this whole case.
I was 17 years old. I never thought I would lose my dad. I remember one time I was little, we were watching a movie and somebody died, and I said, Dad, when you're gonna die? And he said, never. Just, I don't know, that's very tough. I'm sorry.
When I meet Justin, I would like to let him know that I understand one thing, and that is that when somebody is killed, it affects the sons, the daughters, the family of everyone that's involved.
In the summer of 2005, random shootings increased, and investigators are stumped.
It was so fast I couldn't even see anything.
There was bullet
casings on the sidewalk.
And Dale Hausner is just getting started.
Is this